What's going on, Sabrina? How are you?
Hey, doing well. Nice to see you again.
Likewise, likewise. So I wanted to do a quick little intro, and then I want to jump right into this. So for everybody watching, we're going to be hanging out with Sabrina Ramonov, and she blew past 1 million followers in 1 year. She also built an AI clone of herself with probably now tens of millions of views. And of course, she still has time somehow to run her SaaS business called Blotato, which we use every day. You guys know that. And also helps creators pump out content on autopilot, just like she does. And before this, she sold her AI startup for 8 figures. Can't wait to hear all about that. And also landed on the Forbes 30 under 30. And then also her mission is to teach 10 million people AI, which honestly sounds pretty crazy when someone says it. But honestly, if anybody can do it, I've been following Sabrina for a while now. I would definitely put my money on her. So hearing that, Sabrina, what immediately comes to your mind?
It's pretty crazy. I think funny hearing it back because I'm used to giving the intro to myself. But yeah, I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, it sounds like she's well on her way to hit 10 million. So, but it's been a crazy ride in AI. I think a lot of people don't realize. Like, I took my first AI course in 2011, 2012 in college, and then my first startup was in AI. We did real time speech recognition, natural language processing, built our own models, fine tuned them, and so I've been in AI for a while, like well before ChatGPT came out. I think probably a lot of people don't necessarily realize that from just watching my TikToks or Instagrams.
hmm No, it's amazing, like to hear it, because obviously I first found you, and the first thing that I was intrigued about was obviously you had a background in tech, right? And I remember, I think a couple of your first videos, you talked about actually selling your company. So what was that like? Was that an AI company or?
Yeah, so basically it was real-time call guidance for sales and support calls. So we had AI that could, for example, it could join this Zoom meeting, transcribe what people are saying, and then use natural language processing to detect objections, confusion, questions, and then compare it to a knowledge base in real time to like try to retrieve the most relevant answers. And then we'd show them to the sales or support agent that you're talking to. So let's say you call into a bank or you call into health insurance support, and our AI is basically listening in the background and trying to surface relevant information to the agent who's helping you. And the product still exists, so we integrated
Okay.
it into the acquiring company. They're called Pega Systems, not super well known in the tech world, but they do over 1 billion in revenue. They were an early pioneer actually of robotic process automation, which is kind of like workflow automation but for enterprise, so think like thousands and thousands of employees. And the product is called Pega Voice AI. It's used today by thousands of support agents around the world. And so it was just a really, really cool experience because I had often heard, in acquisitions, it could be hit or miss depending
Mhm.
on like the fit between the startup and the bigger company. But in our case, it was a really tremendous strategic fit. So our product's still live with them, it has thousands of customers. And I learned a lot for sure about enterprise and like that whole world related to governance, security, building consensus to actually
Yeah.
build something meaningful, get it across the finish line, educating not just the tech team, but everyone else in the organization. And so it was a really great experience for me personally, too.
Oh, that's amazing to hear that, because a lot of people are obviously starting on their journey. So it's great to hear. Obviously, you have a lot of experience in that. I definitely want to touch more on that. But first, I think the $1 million question is how the hell did you get 1 million followers in a year? That's like the craziest thing.
It's pretty crazy because most people don't realize I only make content 1 day a week. Like Blotato is where I spend like I'm literally if you looked at me every day, it would be like 7 hours coding and fixing bugs every morning. And then, sometime doing support tickets, trying to improve like the infrastructure around Blotato. And then Saturday is my only day that I actually make content. So if I was a full-time creator, I mean, gosh, maybe I would have been like much further along, but like for me, I think the way to scale, number one, is like listen closely to what people are actually asking for. When I started making content, I was talking about AI agents. This is like in early 2024. I was building like simulation games. I built like a online like a Love Island with AI agents dating each other. Like nobody cared about that, I found out. um, but a lot of people care about like I feel really overwhelmed and don't know where to start in AI.
Mm,
And so I kind of like I tried with a lot of different types of content, more technical, less technical, beginner friendly content. Certainly it's beginner beginner level content that tends to take off on TikTok and Instagram, which makes sense because it has the broadest appeal. So I
Right.
think a lot of that beginner level content is what's kind of helped me to rapidly scale. The other piece of it is using AI in every step of the content creation process. There's just no way I would have scaled to this level. I think I'm around 1.3, 1.4 in like over just over a
Wow.
year making content one day a week. Like that's crazy. Like I think that's
Yeah.
when I started, I would have assumed that's insane. But yeah, for example, I'll take every TikTok video that I post. I have an automation in N8N that downloads it without a watermark and then cross posts it and repurposes it to multiple platforms automatically. So it's taking the original content I've already made and then just repurposing it so it's a better fit for each platform. My YouTube as well, like every YouTube is original, and then I repurpose that into a newsletter as well as social posts. So I got really smart about repurposing maybe 4 months into my creator journey, and that's definitely enabled me to scale like across multiple platforms. It's been pretty crazy to watch. Yeah.
So was Blotato part of that process? I'm curious kind of how Blotato kind of came about because obviously you had a system in place when you started,
Hmm.
but then Blotato came out of nowhere. I was super excited to try it and I've been using it every day since. So I'm
Oh, well,
curious kind of what part of that journey
yeah.
did that come into it?
Yeah, basically I had all of these repurposing workflows built in N8N, and then I started making tutorial videos and people were asking me like how can I do this without setting up workflow automation. So
Mm,
if you're non-technical, things like N8N look pretty scary. It's a steep learning curve relative to other tools. And so people were asking me literally for just a SaaS app where they could just click some buttons and it does the thing for them like without having to set up workflow automations. That was a light bulb moment for me. I was like, oh wait, so you just want me to take like the workflow automations I've built and make them like available in an easy to use, non-technical SaaS app where you just point and click. That was the light bulb moment for me and like the beginning of Blotato. And then I also realized like, wow, I pay for like 6 different tools right now for
um,
content creation. It would be nice if I could just like combine them all into one affordable subscription that like a beginner creator could scale all the way up to like very meaningful levels of success without having to pay for like 10 different content creation tools. Like I was paying for one for LinkedIn, one for Twitter. There are other ones
yeah.
specifically for scheduling TikTok or like I have N8N to pull a transcript of a YouTube video and like calling some other service just to be able to fetch that transcript. And so, yeah, that was kind of the beginning of Blotato. I started thinking about it, I think, August, September last year.
Mhm. So wait, I definitely don't want to skip over the one day filming though, because we definitely have to dive into that because I know we
Yeah.
kind of just brushed over that, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Wait, hold on a second." So talk me through that workflow. I mean, one
Yeah.
day filming all week stuff. It looks like you're in like 9 different locations. You also have this AI, so definitely maybe you can touch on that a little bit. I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, I didn't start that way. Like most other people, I just kind of learned from YouTube, and everyone's like, okay, post every day. So when I started, the most important thing to me was posting one piece of content every day. And for the first month or so, I just kind of did it manually on LinkedIn. So I just did one LinkedIn post a day. I just mentioned that because in the beginning, I do think the most important thing is developing that habit. So now it
Mm,
feels really weird if I don't have content going out that day. Like I'm allergic to that. I have to tweet anything just to maintain my streak. And I truly believe that's the most important thing if you're just starting out, not
mm,
which AI tools you use or anything. But yeah, over time, I've kind of like compressed and made it more efficient. So, for example, I have a combination of RSS feeds as well as an AI agent that's basically filtering through AI news from the past week. So, imagine like 40 sources of content. It could be Reddit, Hacker News, Twitter, certain newsletters I follow. Yeah, there are a lot of great sources of information. And then I have an AI agent that's looking at, hey, this is what your audience has enjoyed in the past. Here's similar content. And then also throw in some that could be experimental, like maybe it hasn't fit before with your audience, but you might want to experiment with it. So by the time I sit down Saturday morning, I already have like a list of 30 items that have been curated with the help of AI and my
mm,
preferences so that I can just go kind of through the list and be like, okay, this one makes sense. This one doesn't make sense. This one makes sense. This one doesn't make sense. And so that's a huge help for me when I go to sit down and film TikToks. And then I also have my AI avatar built in HeyGen. So I tend to use it if I'm sick or on vacation or traveling,
Mhm.
right? That's the one with a hat. And that's been amazing to use. I've been shocked, honestly, by the number. I didn't expect it to go well. I kind of expected TikTok to punish like AI avatars and stuff,
Mhm.
but I do make it transparent. In most of the videos, I label it as AI generated and everything, and I have not noticed a decrease in views. It seems to work just as well as my normal video. So
No, I saw after you told me that it popped up, and I looked at one. It was like 4 million views. I was
yeah,
like, and then I was like double checking. I was like, wait, is this the AI one or what?
yeah,
So, yeah, it is pretty crazy though, because I think in the end it's just value, right? I mean, you're providing
yeah.
the value, you're sharing the education, and people really like it. So whether it's an AI agent or yourself on camera, and then when you get your plan for the weekend, do you already have the scripts pre-written, or is it more like bullet point ideas, and then you just kind of film the process like that?
So I don't it's unnatural for me when I read off a whole
Yeah.
script. So what I have are hooks pre-written. So I will have in my workflow automation, it will spit out like 10 hooks per idea. Because I found like if you listen to Hormozy podcast, so I learn a lot from him, for example. Like he spends 95% of the time on the hook because it's just the most important thing. If you can't break past the brain rot that someone is watching, no one's going to watch the rest of your video. And so instead of like focusing so much on perfecting the script, I have AI cheaply generate lots of hooks.
I
So I
got you.
do try to make this available to people as well. I have a free custom GPT that's now one of the most downloaded for short form video hooks, and it's trained on thousands of viral hooks from TikTok and Instagram. And so that's a big help for me, just because it's tough sometimes to come up with a hook and get out of my own like way of
Mhm.
comfortably doing things. So I like AI to just like generates 20 hooks per idea. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's the hook that stands out to me.
Yeah, that's super powerful. I mean, you're touching on all the points, right? Because obviously you can set up all the automations you want in the world, but unless you're really tapping into that hook, that initial stopping that scroll, getting people hooked into your
It's
video,
hard. Yeah.
yeah, super powerful and extremely difficult. And it's getting harder, but I think in the end, the authenticity that you provide, I think, is very unique in the space, especially coming from where you're coming, because you're teaching basic stuff, but obviously you have a background, with a lot of success in the past. And I think people really see that. So it's been kind of fun to watch. So I'm curious where this is all going. Like, do you have a master plan, or what's the
I definitely don't have a master plan. I actually like swore off starting another company for a while because I was just very burnt out from the first company, to be honest. Like I really didn't take care of myself like physically or mentally.
Mm,
So I feel like I spent just like 2 years healing from burnout, like very honestly. And like
wow.
I really didn't want to do another startup. Blotato just kind of happened and it's been growing so fast and like amazing users like yourself are giving me feedback on what I should build next. Kind of the next thing I'm super excited about is like using AI to figure out templated carousel and video generation. So like I'm
Mm,
working on this thing where I can basically upload screenshots from a video and AI creates it into a reusable video template. So you can just be like, "Oh, I want to make this similar video, just plug in my assets and here's my script," and then boom. Because like I see a lot of tools, for example, like Canva. I love Canva, but it's still quite
mhm.
manual to like edit
Yeah.
every single thing in your carousel or in your video. And I'm kind of envisioning like it's almost like Lovable, where you give it like real time feedback and it just updates your entire carousel or your entire video. And so that's kind of what I'm excited about over the next couple of months. That's my big innovation and R&D within Blotato internally.
Nice. That's amazing. I can't wait to try that for sure. You recently launched that launched the audit feature,
Oh
which I
yeah.
played. I gotta say, I didn't pass. I put a bunch of my videos in there. If you guys don't know, so essentially you upload a video and then the Sabrina's algorithm basically analyzes every part of the video and tells you if it's good or if it's absolute crap. And it's an amazing tool because I actually went through it and I've actually started implementing this week a few of the tips that was given inside of it. And I have a video that just popped off right now. I've been struggling trying to get the word
Yeah.
out on Zello, our travel business, and I literally the video's going crazy around. I almost have 1,000 comments on it,
Are
and I
you
literally
that's
used, yeah,
amazing.
literally used your thing step by step.
Yeah, so people were
Hmm.
having a lot of success with my custom GPT. Like I would literally get an email every week that's like my video just went viral and I literally just copied word for word what your custom GPT said. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool like if I took it to the next level, like it maybe it analyzed your past video and gave you very very specific feedback on what you could have done better. And like I've paid for a like a $30 TikTok course. I see a lot of
Hmm.
content on like TikTok coaching and stuff and I'm like, you know, I have a lot of
Yeah.
experience with TikTok now. I feel like I could make AI that gets you like 70% of the way there. Because especially
Hmm.
for beginners, like you're obviously pretty advanced as a creator, but you know, a lot of beginners like don't even know what to
Yeah.
focus on. It's like they listen to all these courses and they're just confused. They're like trying to optimize 20 different things
Yeah.
when like the number one thing you should just focus on initially is your hook, like by far, like just focus on that until like you get really good at creating the hooks, then you can focus on like the next 10 seconds and all of that. But yeah, I just hope it's a useful tool so people don't feel like they have to pay $1,000 for like a TikTok coach. This will literally give you $1,000 worth of
Hmm.
advice, and it's brutally honest, like that's in the prompt somewhere.
Okay,
So
yeah, I
you
was
have
gonna
to be
ask you
brutally
actually.
honest and like not give it, it's very hard, in other words, the score past like 60 or 70. Most of my videos get around like 50 or 60.
Hmm.
I just hope it's a useful tool for people. It's included in all the plans, it's unlimited usage, and so I just really want more people to have success.
Yeah, it's been super useful for sure. So definitely go try it out, guys. I'm curious about, so a lot of our community is obviously vibe coders. It's beginners. It's people just trying to get their first micro SaaS builds or even learn the process. I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think of just vibe coding as a whole, or no
Yeah.
code development. If you could share some insights on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite bullish on vibe coding. So I got an email a few weeks ago that I have one of the top lovable websites according to traffic. I did not know this, but I was invited to their like secret hackathon in Europe because it's based on the traffic of your app. And it's a very interesting contrast though. So on one hand, I spend 5 days a week in Claude Code, many hours a day. I don't consider that vibe coding. I just consider that like AI assisted coding.
Hmm.
And then there's Lovable, where I have like my agents directory is built in Lovable. It gets anywhere from 20 to 40,000 visitors per month, literally coded in one day, literally with Lovable. And 30,000 people are getting value from it every month. And so I think the potential for vibe coding is tremendous, but I do think it's tough to use just vibe coding tools to build really complex apps. So, for example, Blotato, 100% the MVP was vibe coded with Cursor AI. And I filmed it, documented the entire process because I knew people wouldn't believe me afterwards. But, like, to scale to the next level, I had to heavily refactor most of that code. Like,
Hmm.
it's probably less than 1% of the original purely vibe coded code is still in my code base. So I think there's like, I'm super bullish on vibe coding, but to build MVPs, to build front end prototypes, to build kind of information websites that don't have user authentication and complex functionality. I notice people do tend to hit a wall when they're trying to implement complex features. And so the natural upgrade path is to use something like Cursor AI and Windsurf. And then, in my opinion, the next upgrade path is to use something like Claude Code. But I think it's great because like now you can prototype lots of different MVP ideas without committing a huge amount of time and money upfront. And that's why I've been bullish around low code tools for years. Like I've used N8N in 2021. I used Pipedream in 2022, like years before anyone even like really knew about them. But I love these types of tools because they kind of democratize building for all different types of users, like domain experts who maybe didn't have budget before to build out an MVP for their particular problem. So yeah, just very bullish on vibe coding tools, but also realistic. Like for a more
Hmm.
complex app, there will kind of come a point where you naturally evolve into more sophisticated AI coding tools.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think that that's just going to accelerate? Or do you think the tools are just going to get much better and the actual coding of the backends and authentication and all that stuff is just going to get better and better?
I
Where
hope
do you,
so. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I do think so. I think there's a long way to go. And like new options are always popping up. So like there was just Lovable and you had to connect the database separately. But then there was base 44, which has authentication and database built into it, more like bubble.io. And so if you're so like that option didn't even exist a year ago, you know? And so like that makes it so much easier for beginners because then they don't have to like set up a separate database and like figure out user authentication and things like that. So I'm quite bullish that it will continue to improve. And so it's an amazing time to get started. Like my younger cousin, oh my gosh, he's gonna kill me afterwards for mentioning him. But he's like 22 years old. I was like, here, try this website, try building your thing. And within 24 hours, he comes back to me and he's like, my mind is blown. I cannot believe I just had an idea I talked to you about. And now it's like in my face. Like it's I can like try it. I can click the buttons. It's like what I envisioned. And he's only 22. So imagine like he's starting
Mhm.
now. The tooling is going to improve. There's incredible opportunities in AI right now to build a highly profitable solo or very small business. And so I'm super excited for him and everyone who's jumping into vibe coding right now.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. And I think a lot of people, there's this weird stigma around it, right? It's like developers versus vibe coders. Like, I never saw it that way. Like, to me personally, as a non technical person, it was a superpower. But I always knew it's like, by still, my developer's going to make
Mm-hmm.
these things safe to use and make them scalable, you know? And now, like, when I first started, so for me, it's about a year, you know, I could only build about 50% just front end.
Yeah.
Now, over the past year, I mean, I've gotten stuff to the end, and literally, I just send them the Git, and I'm like, make sure nobody can hack this
Yeah.
website.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing, but that is still needed, you know. So I'm very bullish on both, you know, because I think the traditional developer, like it speeds up their process, but now they can focus less on just spending the endless weeks of coding, and now they can actually focus on what the marketing, right, launching. You know, and it seems like you have both, right? Because you obviously come from that background and seeing what you've done. So it's interesting to see how the modern developer has to also adapt, right,
Yeah.
into these no code tools. Where I'm setting to my dev, I'm like, dude, learn these tools because you're just gonna be that much more valuable. And speed is huge nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, where you can literally build, like you said, an MVP or a full product. In a matter of days. You know, I challenged myself to get an app approved in the App Store, and I did
Okay.
it in 24 hours from start
Wow.
to finish,
That's
like
amazing.
actually
Yeah.
approved, you know, and it was done. It was a simple timer, like meditation timer. But
Yeah.
to me, that was like the light bulb. I was like, wait, there's actually a
That would
possibility
have been
here.
unthinkable 5 years ago.
Unthinkable.
Like the
Yeah.
cost, like, you know, like we're talking thousands of dollars, like at a
Yeah.
minimum. And so,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I don't really buy that narrative either. I don't consider it like vibe coders versus developers. Like how I think about it is vibe coders will have a higher likelihood of achieving success with a product, which is good because then you hire
Hmm.
developers. But in the past, like maybe you had 5K in budget, and so you only have one
Hmm.
shot. Like you're building this one thing, it's going to eat up most of your budget, and like you really need it to work. Now you have a lot more shots with
Oh yeah.
5K, which actually increases your chance of like finding that thing that you're going to stick to long term. And when you find that, you're definitely going to want to hire developers to like help you truly build it into like an amazing product, you know, and not just like an MVP where you push a feature and like three other features break, you know. So I consider it like a very natural
Yeah.
transition path. I don't view the two camps as antagonistic. We're gonna have more solopreneurs succeeding because they have more shots at goal given the same budget and the same timeline, and that's a good thing because like more solopreneurs succeeding, finding a good product means they're going to hire developers to take it to the next level and help maintain it.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like it's like almost backwards now, right? Where it's like the development is like the end piece versus the beginning. Because now you could build a front end, wait list, put it out, people love it.
Mhm.
Hey, when is this dropping? And then you got to rush to actually get, you know, good developers to actually help you finish it. So yeah, it's been
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
like the first version of Blotato didn't actually post to social media. Like I
There
think
you
it
go.
called a webhook in Zapier. Like that's a that's a MVP for you. Yeah.
Yeah. But you guys are hearing it from somebody who's full stack and understands this game, still did a waitlist simple automation just to see if you could
Yeah.
validate the idea, right? And I think that's a big thing for people listening is like you don't need to have this full-fledged feature set with all your amazing logos and branding and marketing. Just get something out there, put it out there and see what people say
Yeah.
about it. Get that feedback loop going as quickly as possible, you know, and you can literally do that with zero code now, like you truly can.
Yeah, and I think the other underrated piece is the fact that I had an audience beforehand, and, like, I didn't understand the power of that. Like, I coming up in Silicon Valley, so I went to UC Berkeley, computer science and physics. I raised VC funding for my AI startup, and, like, all I knew is Silicon Valley, which does not appreciate, like, influencers and things like that, right? Well, maybe now everyone's trying to get on TikTok,
Right.
but, like, I definitely underestimated the power of having an audience when it comes to product. It like just the word you said is what triggered me, like the feedback loop. Like the most significant thing that giving an audience gave me was a constant stream of feedback from users to allow me to build the correct product. Because like your first product's probably not the right product.
Hmm.
Potato has a lot of features in it for a reason because I was like, oh, how about this? How about that? How about this? But like, it sucks when you're flying blind and you don't have feedback from
Hmm.
like real users. I've been there as well. Like my first startup, I didn't have a brand. We were doing enterprise sales. I was reaching out to people cold, email, cold LinkedIn, doing sales calls, demo calls, trying to pitch a pilot. And that was incredibly painful because like we weren't getting like really critical user feedback on a regular basis. But when you have an audience, and by the way, I'm a big fan, you can partner with an existing person who has
Hmm.
your audience. It doesn't have to be all you. But when you have that constant stream of folks giving you real feedback, you're just going to get to product market fit so much faster than like having to build a feature and then try to beg people to use it. And like nobody really wants to use it. They don't have a problem. Right. And so I think that was one of the underrated things I didn't realize was so powerful in having a community. There's the obvious stuff, like you're going to get that influx of users initially, where other startups might struggle with that. But the most important thing for long term winning is that continuous
Yeah.
product improvement loop and feedback from users directly.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, I think that's a huge part, you know. So the whole idea of these bloated softwares that people were building back in the day, and some are still doing that now, just get out that first feature, you know, and
Mhm.
just and then iterate on actually what people want. Because we
Yeah.
think our ideas are the best, right? Until you
I
actually put
know.
it out there, and then it's just crickets, and you're like, man, I just wasted 6 months of my life.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
so funny you say that because I just did a user survey last night and I was really not expecting people to vote on the thing I want to build. But then they did, and I was so
Yeah.
happy. I was like, wow, people want me to build the thing I'm actually excited about for once.
So for somebody who's on top of this game, I mean, you're obviously in the trenches, you know everything. Like, what would you say over the last, I could say 30 days? What was the one thing in AI where you were just like, this is insane. I can't believe this actually exists from everything that
Yeah.
you know.
It would probably be Claude Code with MCP. So for a long time, I kind of just used Claude Desktop with MCP, and like that's been, but there's so many limitations with that. Like you run into so many conversation limits because there's so many tool calls. So then I started hooking up Claude Code with all of these MCP servers, and like it's mind blowing how powerful it is. Like Claude Code alone makes me question low code workflow automation builders. I know that's taboo to say. I still love them.
Mhm.
I still use them. But like it's getting to the point where I can build something much faster by talking to Claude Code than drag and dropping things and
Yeah.
like figuring out like all these obscure bugs in some platforms like weird little language. Right. There's a ton more documentation, in other words, for JavaScript, Python, and the well supported programming languages. And so it's like even when I first started using Claude Code, so I officially switched from Cursor AI to Claude Code maybe 2 months ago.
Mm.
And at the time I announced it, it was like a controversial thing. Like, really? Like permanently? That's a strong word. But yeah, no, I don't even look back at all. And now hooking up Claude Code with MCP. So for example, I hook it up to
Mhm.
Intercom. So I can be like, pull the last 10 customer support tickets where people were really angry, like really, really angry and shouting violent threats. And I'm like, okay, now let's figure out the solution and update my knowledge base. So I use Gitbook, and so Claude Code also has access to that, and then it just writes
Mhm.
all the answers based on my support tickets, updates my Gitbook, and then boom, like my support agent is updated as well. So I don't know. I think it's really powerful. Like even if you're
Um,
non-technical, I encourage you to like spend some time dabbling with Claude Code, hook it up to your MCP tools, and see what it can do.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, especially with MCP, like that was when that first came out. Obviously, for me, kind of looking at it, I was trying to figure out how do I even explain this to people? right? And I've kind of come up with my explanation, but I would love to hear your definition for a sixth grader of what MCP server
Oh,
is.
for a sixth grader? I would probably, so one that I liked was like it's like a USB-C, like a universal plug. So you plug your service into MCP and now all these AI agents can use it. Like some it's probably something at that level. Yeah, it's stuff
Yeah, but
there.
it's really powerful, right? Because before you needed integrations, you needed API, you need to all this back end stuff, and now you could just literally plug into these MCP servers. So yeah, very very powerful, very exciting. I can't wait to see what's coming. What would you say for? I would love to kind of touch back on some of the content creators
Hmm.
stuff. What would you say for beginners, especially launching their first MVP or
Mm,
getting that first content out there? I've definitely been kind of pushing people towards that personal brand. It's what we both do.
yeah.
I think it's the fastest way to kind of get out the gate. But if somebody's launching, let's just say a fitness app, what would you
Mm.
say to those people? First 10 videos, where do they go?
Yeah, so I have very different advice depending on whether it's like a B2B type of SaaS app or a consumer mobile app. So a fitness app is more like a consumer mobile app. So for the first group, I definitely recommend personal brand. So let's say you're building like an SEO optimization AI app, like something like that. Personal
Hmm.
brand, show your authority, show case studies like you worked with a startup and managed to increase their presence in ChatGPT answers by X amount. Like people love that on LinkedIn and TikTok still. Um, so consumer mobile apps though I feel like are a different game where you don't have to build a personal brand at all. So one resource I religiously follow, like I will check every email and newsletter that they send, is called Social Growth Engineers, and they basically case study the most viral TikTok and Instagram videos promoting
Hmm.
apps. And so really really popular for consumer mobile apps, fitness apps, and you're going to see they don't require a personal brand at all. They basically make super entertaining videos and then they organically like feed in the app somewhere in the video. Like if it's a fitness, it might be like someone, I don't know, doing something funny at the gym, but then they'll take out their phone and they won't even tell you what the name of the app is. You'll just kind of see 2 seconds of it on their phone. It'll look cool. And then everyone in the comments is like, wait, what app is that? I want to know what
Right,
app that
right.
is. And so, yeah, I feel like that kind of growth hacking for consumer social is a bit different, that you do not need a personal brand at all. You can absolutely scale it. What you do, you just get multiple accounts or you work with like multiple influencers. You find a viral, repeatable format, and then they all do it. Like they all do their own variations that goes viral, milk it for as long as you can. Okay, then find another viral, repeatable format and then do it again. That's the playbook that I see in consumer mobile that is working tremendously well. When you have a viral app, like for example, the T app that went like crazy viral on
Yeah.
TikTok, they skyrocketed in revenue like crazy. And if you guys aren't familiar with it, like it was basically 8-second TikTok videos saying like, basically with a woman like kind of hinting that she found her boyfriend's like sordid
Hmm.
past, and then her boyfriend like looks innocent over there in the corner. 8 seconds, hundreds of millions of views, hundreds of thousands in monthly recurring revenue for this app. So yeah, that's that. I would just categorize, I guess, the advice depending
Hmm.
on like B2B ish plays versus pure consumer plays.
Yeah. What about building in public? What are your thoughts on that?
I love it except for revenue. So there's a reason
Hmm.
why I don't share Blotato revenue, and it's just I just want to make life easier for myself and like not have a lot of people copy it. Especially on Twitter, I notice like anytime you share revenue, you're gonna have like 30 clones instantly. Even when I did my initial build, like I got clones just from that. People were literally following my YouTube video and building clones. Right, but like most of those people, like I'm not super worried about. They do tend to give up, right?
Yeah.
Like the type of person who's switching ideas all the time. If you don't have like a reason you're rooted to an idea, it's also very easy to be fickle and like switch ideas all the time. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'd still like to make my life easier. So I just share everything but revenue. So I love build in public, but like I don't share revenue. So that's my personal choice. But
Yeah, definitely. And as far as the clones, it's funny you said that because I just did a video talking about that exact thing. Because a lot of people that don't start, they're caught up in like, oh, I have this $1 million idea, but I don't want to share it because I don't want people to steal it. It's like, no, no, you need to go and make it first,
yeah,
right? And then have that problem. Don't
yeah.
get caught up in. I get people sending me ideas all the time, like, hey, can you sign this NDA for me? I'm
Oh,
just like, come on,
seriously?
bro. Oh
No.
yeah. I'm like, this is ridiculous, you know? So I definitely, yeah, I agree with you. The revenue is tough, especially if you're doing something that's personal to you
Hmm.
and being able to just kind of share that information. I've been very hesitant. The only time I've ever actually shared revenue is with Zello, because I feel like for me, I'm happy that we actually are kind of breaking the boundaries of actually getting a hotel booking site to actually start getting traffic, organic traffic through
Hmm.
Google. So I was just so proud of that. And I was like, I want to show people that I'm also going through this journey, right? I'm not making 10 million with it. We just made our first 500 bucks, and I'm trying to
Oh,
show
that's awesome.
beginners
Yeah.
like, let's go, like it's actually possible.
That's a good
But
point. Like,
it's
I feel like if I
Mhm.
have like a side project, I would actually do it for that, just so people can kind of like see that it's possible and document it all the way. But I wouldn't do it for Blotato for my main thing. Yeah.
For sure. My next question. So how much is
Yeah.
Blotato making now?
I'm very
Yeah,
happy with it.
excellent. And would you say for with Blotato, going back to kind of when that first started, was it a hockey stick effect, or did you
Yeah,
kind
I
of get
mean,
that initial pump because of obviously your audience and kind of the process?
no, it's just been definitely the initial was way faster than I ever anticipated.
Hmm.
That's in large part due to my audience for sure, but it's just been going up like ever since I launched it, which is pretty crazy to think about. So yeah, it's been growing really well. I hope it keeps growing. I'm always scared if it's like revenue is going to plateau one day, but it's like, it's just like pure personal challenge. Like it's not even about the money anymore. It's just like, can I
Hmm.
keep doing this, especially solo? So for those of you who don't know, like I'm still solo. I do have a job post up, but like it's been pretty hard to because like the code base is so complex, and so I need someone like really senior and autonomous. But yeah, like to date, it's all been solo. Me, sales, marketing, actually building the thing, support chats. That's either me or my AI bot. Like there's no one else.
So how many of those AI bots are actually in your life right now, honestly, like across the board?
It's funny. I was gonna make like an org chart showing like, oh, I have
Yeah,
this
yeah.
agent for support. I have this agent to like I talked about earlier, like analyze content and news and figure out what I should say. I might end up doing that because I think it would be really interesting for people to see like where am I using AI, where am I not using AI.
Hmm.
Like for example, for building relationships with other like influencers and community owners, I don't use AI for that. I just want that to be me, like, building a relationship with you. I don't use like a scheduling bot or anything like that. And so that's an area where I do feel it's important to be 100% human. So
Yeah. No, so if you guys are listening, one solo entrepreneur right here with the use of AI, using it at every level, because that is the power. That's literally what you can do now is just find those gaps. Like for me, it's
yeah.
like whenever I'm looking at something for longer than 30 minutes, I'm like, there has to be a better way, right? And then it's like just go and build something or find a solution for it. So yeah, really, really incredible to hear the story. I would love to talk a little bit about just kind of some more fun stuff. So I know you and your
Yeah.
husband love to travel. You guys are always out and about. I see either snowboarding over here
Oh yeah.
or doing some other stuff. So what are some of those hobbies that you and your husband get
So
into?
2 months ago, I learned dirt biking. We went out to the Arizona desert and just dirt bike for like 4 days straight, hours per day. And I loved it, like way more than mountain biking, way more than I expected. So if you haven't tried dirt biking, highly, highly recommend it. It was really fun. We're looking at getting a pool, hopefully. So my actually during that vacation trip, my husband broke his foot, not dirt biking. He was just walking on the sidewalk from the laundromat.
Oh,
So yeah, and it did not have a cool story. But yeah, so
might
he's
have
been
to
in the
shift that story.
yeah, I know. So he's been in a boot for like 3 months, and now like just for rehab
Oh,
purposes, we're thinking of getting a pool. So because he can actually use a pool, whereas he can't do Muay Thai or Jujitsu again. Briefly tried Muay Thai. It was fun, but I feel like the real fun is sparring, and like I don't want to be hit in the
uh,
head. But my husband's really into Muay Thai, and he just picked up jujitsu. And yeah, just looking forward to ski season. Honestly, I'm trying to learn snowboarding as well. So I have like
okay.
all the gear. I have like a super cool looking GNU snowboard, but I can barely snowboard at the moment.
Okay, nice. Yeah, same for me. I actually was a skier my whole life, and then I came
Oh
to
yeah,
the US and snowboarding started. I tried it a few times. It's like the brain just doesn't
yeah.
can't doesn't register. So it's really difficult. But I kind of gave up on trying. So it's
Oh,
definitely skiing
yeah.
for me too, For sure. But awesome, Sabrina. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would love to share? I'd definitely love to get your information for everybody so they can find you if they don't already follow you, which I'm sure a million people plus do now. But yeah, please tell us anything else you would like me to share.
Yeah, yeah. So you can find me on socials, just as Sabrina Ramonov on all the socials. And yeah, I'll just close by saying like the most exciting thing to me about AI is all the solopreneurs that will be able to build like meaningfully profitable businesses that give you like financial freedom and financial flexibility. And like this really wasn't possible before 10 years ago. Like it just is not normal for one person or even a tiny team to reach these levels of revenue, but it is possible now. Like it still takes a lot of work. So I don't it's not that it's like don't expect it to be easy, but you absolutely can do it and scale to a level that was not even dreamable before. And so yeah, I'm really excited for all the AI solopreneurs out there. Super excited for your school community and hopefully inspiring the next generation of builders.
Yeah, thank you so much, Savannah. And honestly, I just want to personally thank you because it was kind of being pushed further and further along. And then you made that one post
Oh,
and
yeah.
said, there needs to be a solution for this. And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm so close. And I've already been building my community for 9 months. I'm like, I have to do it. Like after building 100 plus
Yeah.
projects on my YouTube, I realized like there's so much information here that can actually be used by real people that don't know tech skills. So yeah, I do appreciate you
Oh,
inspiring
I
that
didn't
part of
realize
it.
that. I'm happy that
Yeah.
you are the perfect person to do this. So really excited.
Nice. Well, thanks again, Sabrina. Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch. And you guys can find all the links below. Go say hi and definitely go check out Blotato. You guys will be very happy and you can build out your clones.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me.